VeeFam, what's up? I am Rob, Mr. Messer, back again with the legendary Corso for round two. Corso, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I'm just realizing this is not just realizing, I knew this when we talked, but this is the first round two with any guest on the VeeFam session. So this is historic.
Cool.
Thank, thank,
Glad to be part of history.
well, it's a historic time, cardboard summer. The last time we talked, I think, was 7 months ago ish. It was December, right? A little bit after the Art Basel week, and VeeFriends takeover and all of that. So it's been a little bit, and in this land, so much happens so fast.
Yeah.
So it'll be awesome to chop it up, especially in this moment of time leading up into the national after these just stream after stream of amazingness and eruptions and all the good things. So first of all, how are you as a person? You're one of the most beloved people in the ecosystem. How are you?
I've been good. I've always been better, you know. There's always days you could be better. But overall, like I've been good, you know. Getting trying to find things to do. Um, like when I'm not working to keep myself occupied because, I used to always just play games and as much as much fun as games can be, it's nice to I was I play a lot of pickleball, so like that's like a nice like pastime for me. I think yesterday I was at the courts for like 3 hours or close to it, so that's like a good pastime for me. Uh, so I'm always trying to find those.
That's amazing. Yeah. So are you like lately? I'm at the point where I'm consciously trying to do more things outside. I used to do it just naturally, but now doing so much more, just kind of strapped to a computer.
hmm
I have to be conscious about it. Is that kind of where you are with the whole pickleball thing? Like I need
Uh,
to be doing things instead of gaming, like getting out.
Not necessarily. It's just more like I really enjoy pickleball, and so it's like I gotta get out and go play. Like I can't play here, so I gotta get out and go play. The only bad thing is it's like a 25-minute drive, so it's like the one thing that kind of like would stray me away. But I'm not too worried about it right now. I just, you know, I don't know. Even when I come back from pickleball, I'll hop on some games for a little bit. I still get time in for both.
The world is abundant. I love it. So let's just dive right in. We're in an interesting time now. Last year, we're recording this July 11th, 2023. Last year, after VCon, there was a lot of people were up, and then there's kind of a lull after. This year, we have this cardboard summer right after VCon. So people are on this VCon high. And I mean, it feels like, I don't know, in reality, maybe it's like 40, 50 people, but it feels like the entire VeeFriends universe is in these streams, just opening boxes, watching breaks, getting in on fun content, rooting, for community members, Tom versus Josh. Who are you,
hmm
Tom, Team Josh?
I
Super
was
fun.
team Tom, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I fumbled too, but shout out to Josh, who pulled out the big win. So let's talk about like your card journey. And I know you've been a collector for a while, and you have a great collector's corner. But just talk to us a little bit about your card journey before this happened, and how you're living in cardboard summer. How are you enjoying it?
Yeah, so uh, prior to like VeeFriends cards and stuff, I was a smaller, I'd say smaller Pokemon collector. I liked opening packs, so I'd always just buy packs, and whatever I pulled was my collection. And then I started collecting Squirtles, which is my favorite Pokemon out of all of them. So I started collecting specific Squirtles. I had one idea in mind at one point, but it just would have costed way too much and took it would have taken so much time was collecting one PSA 10 of every single Squirtle card in existence, and that would just be absurd. But I have a few cool ones that I saw, and so after a little bit of that, like once the VeeFriends cards came out, I definitely wanted to try to open as many as I could. I think I've only opened like uh, 20 boxes at most, maybe. I think it's like 19, so I haven't opened a ton compared to some people. But now I'm just like a lemur collector. I don't really buy boxes. I just scout for lemurs. It sucks that the lemur is very rare. It's like a
Right.
very rare. Since it's a rare core card, everybody's like upcharging the rare and the very rare and all that. I just like it's hard to get behind certain prices for a very rare. So I have at least one of each besides like a 101 right now. So, but I'm definitely enjoying it. It's very cool to see it grow in front of us.
And it just it's amazing. It's amazing. It's so meta when things that Gary preaches, the community kind of lives out, and we see like so much content, so many people taking the reins, the pillars of leadership in this little niche of VeeFriends cards and running with it. Daily content, live streams, interaction, kindness, giveaways, like it's all just kind of being packaged together. And I
Hmm.
think that's one of the many reasons that it's becoming so popular. And cards is it's such an easy way to understand and to digest what's going on with this ecosystem. So you have become, first of all, what is it like to have the tagline Corsos in the chat is like almost like let's fucking go, like we're riding is like top tier, like everyone knows, but I feel like Corso in the chat is
It's getting
like
there.
it's a solid bet right now.
Yeah,
Like if I was at the track betting, like it's right there, like third, fourth, probably most popular sayings right now. Like when Tom first said that, and when you when it started catching on, like do you like think anything about it? Where you're like, this is funny, this is cool. Like what is he
it's cool
talking
for
about?
sure. When
Uh,
I first saw the emote of myself, I was like, "What the hell?" but after that, it's cool. It's cool to see it now. Um, and I mean, shout out to Tom and Josh and anyone else who's done Twitch streams. I know there's some others out there. It's so cool to because like I kind of live on Twitch. I'd say like a little bit. Like when I want to watch something and I don't have anything to watch on YouTube, I'm on Twitch watching someone's live stream. So it's always nice to see like now I know at like 9 p.m. certain days, Josh or Tom are going to be live, so it's a nice thing to pan to from whatever I'm watching, if I'm watching anything.
it's unbelievable entertainment. For myself, I really didn't get into the cards.
Hmm.
Like it was card night that did it for me. Like when I saw the energy, started actually touching the cards, feeling the cards, because I did one tournament in Miami that was pretty much the only opening I've ever done. But it's been educational and entertaining to
Yep.
tune in to these guys' streams and what they're doing every night. And if you have no idea what we're talking about, so on Twitch, you can make up your own emojis. And so Tom took Corso's PFP, new PFP of his face, and just made an emoji. And instead of it's interchangeable, and saying instead of saying "let's fucking go" or "amazing," like it's just Corso's in the chat, and everyone puts in Corso faces.
They spam
So
the chat with the Corso
they
faces. Yeah.
spam the chat with the Corso face, and it's amazing. It's just so much energy, and so it's really awesome. And kind of Gary called this cardboard summer after VCon, and prices have gone up. It's been incredible leading up to this national. Are you going to the national? I assume.
Yeah, I'll be working the booth, so should be fun.
Amazing. So one of the highlights for me has been when Gary's been in a couple of the streams. He's no
Like in the
stranger
chat.
to
Yeah.
taking part of breaks. Yeah, getting in the chat, which he isn't all the time. I think he's done some flights the couple
Hmm.
times that he was in, but under the persona of Twitch Gary, not trash talk Gary, sports Gary. Super fun, but
Yeah.
one of the nights he was on there, he wanted I guess he was getting shitty Series One cards, according to him. And then Tom started ripping out Series Two, and then Gary rebuttals. I only do Series One or Series Three. So, was that the first time you ever heard of Series Three?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, community members have mentioned it. They're like, they just mentioned hoping there's not a series three. I think maybe for cards at some point that's possible, but yeah, it's the first
Right.
time I've heard Gary say that. And I was just like, oh god. But it's just like all jokes, he's just having a good time in the Twitch chat. It's funny too because when Series 1 boxes first came out, Backyard Breaks, which is a popular break-in, like they do sports cards mainly,
Hmm.
but they ripped some, um, and Gary was in their chat like bantering with them. It was really cool. So
What
it's just like Twitch Gary environment.
they pulled a monster. I just can't remember what it was. Do you
Empathy
remember?
Elephant Auto.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
great
I
card.
remember that
They
video.
pulled a lot
And
of good cards. They pulled some like heat, like some of those 101s. I can't recall all of them, but they pulled some good cards.
they come
No
up on
lemurs
my
though.
no lemurs. They come up on my feed a lot because they just, I mean, they rip cards to scale, so they're
Yeah,
bound to have amazing viral moments. So with first of all, who's behind the VeeFriends cards handle? Is it Rips?
I think it's a combination of Rips and Jeremy.
Okay. Um, Speaking of that, does Rips have an official job title, or is he just a utility man?
He
Is he just
does.
Rips?
I feel like it's like manager of collectibles or something like that, something along those lines.
Okay.
I can't recall what it exactly is, but
He's in collectible land.
yeah.
I know that's his background. But
Hmm.
maybe one day he'll return a DM and I'll have him on the show to ask him. Just kidding. Shout out Rips.
Yeah, shout out Rips.
He's awesome. And talking about his face going viral, people are changing his PF their PFP on Twitter to his high school, I think, picture,
Yeah, I think it
which is
is.
funny. And then some people got stuck because Twitter, they only let you.
Verification thing.
Yeah, so that was funny. Um, a year, how is this in your eyes? And this was a theme of our last conversation. You have such a unique perspective because you're a community member, right? You've been there since day one. um you're a holder, you're a goat, but you're also working.
Hmm.
So you wear multiple hats all the time. In your From your perspective, how is the community different right now, July 2023? How is it different than a year ago?
It's definitely not as active, with the market being the way it is. Not as many people want to hang out in a Discord chat. Um, at least in the general chat, like there's still decent activity in all the other channels, like the holder channels, but um, it's hard for anyone to be active in a community or in an environment where the market's not good. And I think it's probably a common theme across a lot of other NFT discords, mainly just because it's like, I don't want to say a number, but I'm sure there's a decent amount of people who are there money motivated, in any project. And so when, prices are down, it's, that's just how it is. And it definitely, I don't want to say ruins the vibe because it doesn't ruin anything. That's just how it is. Like, but it definitely isn't as like always like positive, which is, I think, is a good mix. Like there's more criticism, which is for good for projects that take it in the right way.
Hmm.
Um, Bad for projects that don't. Um, so that's kind of how it is right now. It's a tough spot right now.
And it's no secret that you guys, all of you from top to bottom, always have echoed that you read everything, see everything, and take feedback into account. And I'm sure your systems for digesting that and talking about it are only getting better. Um, as far as vibes, and I think this is a great segue to talk about how
Hmm.
interesting of your position is, where you probably have to do a lot of things that are tough. So, speaking of vibes, there's one person in particular that really went above and beyond to share their negative vibes and perspective. Um, a lot of it was because of the execution, money motivated as well. And you had to step in, and while I'm thinking, while I was that living that out and kind of understanding what was going on, I was literally like, I had a lot of empathy for you because history and everything. That must have been a tough spot. So, the question I was going to ask you was like, what's been the most challenging thing for you in the last year? I don't want to assume and put words in your mouth. I'm sure that was very hard for you to kind of step in and intervene and, remove roles, all of those things. But I'll let you just jam on that however you want to, as far as
Yeah,
challenges.
yeah. I mean, it's difficult to sit in the Discord when there's like I don't even want to use the word negativity, but when there's just a lot of criticism, because it's like a lot of the criticism that's shared has already been shared back to the team, and so it's like me sitting in there. It's just like it kind of it 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 sucks because it's like I know how hard the team's working, and I'm working on what I do, but there's team members that work on like partnerships and all this stuff, and like fortunately they don't see the Discord chat as much as I do because it would probably demotivate them. Um, Mainly because it's just like when they see a lot of like um, bad comments about what they're working on, it's just like, why do I want to work on it? Um,
Right.
but fortunately, they like they don't have to live in the Discord. That's my job. So, and I kind of sift through and find the stuff that can be that is useful, and kind of sift through like which criticism is the best to share for the better of the VeeFriends community and VeeFriends as a
So,
community. Yeah.
so you're like the filter. You kind of bring everything to them. You package it all up and say, this is what's going on. These are some themes.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Is as far as I mean, I feel like it's funny because thinking back, it feels so long ago, but like the market was down after VCon 1 as well.
Hmm.
I don't, it's not anywhere where it is now, but at the time it was like, people were really going down on that roller coaster. And I know, it's usually money motivated, but as far as like when you talked about execution, is it like what are you seeing? Are people just upset because it's a lack of patience and things aren't happening? Like eruptions aren't happening quick enough, collabs aren't happening quick enough. They're waiting on their character. Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing where people are pointing to and pissed off about?
A lot of it is like some things that we've stated that hasn't necessarily come to fruition. Um, for example, the most recent is well, I don't know if I should share, but the point is like there's definitely things that we haven't executed on, um, and so a lot of times when we do a new like when we release a new thing, that's a lot of thing like that's the main thing that people talk about is like, oh, this could have been executed this way, and it's just like the way we planned it is this, and this is how we want to execute it. Like we do internally, we figure that out. We kind of it's been shared on Twitter Spaces. We do our own FUD my drop is what it's called, where we kind of like we'll sit together and we'll be like, all right, well, where are the pain points of this? And we kind of just like find the pain points and we fix it to the best of our ability, and then we launch it how we think is best. And I don't think it matters how any project launches anything. There's always going to be that side that's just like this is poor, or and that's just that's an ongoing battle with any launch for any project. It's just like there's always those people that'll be in the Twitter comments being like, this looks bad. Who made this art? Or
Right.
anything like
You're
that.
always gonna.
And so it's just a matter of trying to release something that um we think is best for the community.
So fund my drop. That's a cool concept. So is this just you and like Daniel and the community team, or is this everybody from?
It's not everybody. It's like a fair. It's like people who've worked on whatever the collab is. Um,
Yeah,
some of the media ops team, and then me and Daniel from the community team.
got it. So this is like, is this as far as like how an eruption is going to roll out? Is this a blog post? Like, what does
Yeah.
that
So
mean?
so like it's typically like so. I think some of our most recent ones have been about eruptions. And so it would be like, this is how the eruption's going. like this is the method of like entry, like all of that type of eruption, when it starts, when it ends, um, and we pretty much just break it down. Like there's a lot more details than just that, but we kind of just break it down like, well, why is it like this, or why is the time only 5 days, or something like that, and we kind of
Mm.
just try to work through it to see what we can do that works best.
Was there, out of the all of the eruptions so far, was there one that the reception caught the team by surprise, either for the better, like everyone loved it when you thought it was going to be like kind of lukewarm response, or like people didn't like it when you thought it was going to be a big hit?
Yeah, I think the Eruption 3 one was a good one. Like everybody was like, it's hard like to go against it. It's like, you know, and there's not really much you can change. It's just like you give, what was it, two, I forget what the frames were, but you give
I forget what the frames are,
two of
but
the
yeah,
book games with certain frames and you get a compete and collect box. Or is it, I think it was one frame,
one
two
frame for two
boxes.
boxes. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's arbitrage there. Um, and overall, it was just like it was just like a very simple eruption that we thought would, you know, attract a lot of people, and it did. So it was a lot of fun, like seeing the reception from that one, because not only are people excited for the eruption, but it brings more people into the card space, or it adds to some people's collections.
right, exactly. Man, if I could go back a couple months, I'm sure this is easy to say for everybody, but man, that was a great trade. And it's, you don't, it's easy. It's not a lottery. It's not a sweepstakes. You don't have to do any work. You don't have to create anything. It was just burn and then get something shipped to your house, which is fun,
Yeah,
to have that physical experience. Super cool. And as far, just to wrap this up, is like, as far as you being in the position where you're dealing with this, and, you know, do you have context of, I know, dating back to the last conversation, you found out some announcements when everyone else did. Are there any meetings in place where you kind of get previewed things, what's coming up in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, so you have, not obviously not to leak alpha, but to just give some kind of perspective to people if they're complaining or fudding about something, where you can kind of be like, just wait a little bit longer.
yeah. Usually, it really depends on what it is. Some things I'll know about it months before. Sometimes I'll know a month before. Sometimes I'll know 2 weeks before. It really just depends on what it is, and and then from there, I kind of, at least on my like work end, I'll figure out like what kind of like guardrail responses do I need to make, um, to kind of just help educate myself more by like reading more into what it is, like read the blog post that's being drafted, or just read more into what we have so far, just to make sure I have everything like pat down and I share the right information with the community when it's time. But I usually I usually don't like to say like, oh, next week something's coming or anything, just because if it's not announced to the public yet, it might not be next week. We might add something or fix something, and so that's why like sometimes stuff isn't announced right away, because we want to make sure everything's perfect before we give a date.
Got it. That makes a ton of sense. And as far, just to wrap up this portion, this topic of community and dealing with feedback and how the team responds. I talked to Andy last fall, winter, right before this happened. So um, some people in the community were really coming at him, like directly, and this, all roads lead back to um, people being upset, usually because of they're overly invested, or they want things to happen quicker, or things aren't aligning with how they want to see things happening, and they came after him like directly, almost to the point where people are like, whoa, like slow down. And Andy came forward to address that. He came on Spaces, he did podcasts, but my question is going to be, is that something that you had to talk to him about? Does he see it? I'm gonna put a pin in that question, but the turnaround, that's what happened. What I've noticed and what a lot of people have noticed from VCon 1 to VCon 2 is he has done like a 180. Like I feel like I saw Andy everywhere, out and about in the community at VCon. He's wearing merch from community projects. He's taking pictures with everyone. He's signing everything. He's in the cards. He's everywhere. And like I'm a huge Andy fan, like from day one. Um, like just a ton of respect for him. But I'm just curious: were those internal conversations that were either difficult for you, that you had, that you didn't have at all? Just for that moment of time, because I think it's super important, that turn of
Yeah,
events.
yeah, nothing internal that really happened with me and him, but I think he just I don't know. He definitely made a 180 like you said, and I think it's for the better. Um, what was the question you asked prior?
Um,
Oh, Andy did see it on socials. Yeah,
got it.
that was the question. Yeah, he did see it on socials. Um, so it wasn't even something that we had to share. Like we already saw that he saw it. But yeah, it was definitely, I'm sure, a little difficult for him. But I'm sure since he's worked for Gary for so long, he kind of knows how Gary handles it,
Hmm.
and kind of used Gary's recipe for this. Um, and it seems like it's panned out for the better.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And like you just had that feeling. Maybe a lot of people don't pay attention to these things like I do, but like I just had a feeling that the community, the team was more out in front, and Gary was kind of to the side as far as like being the face of VeeFriends. Like Andy's opening up before Busta, talking to the crowd. Like you have May at the Jordan Sparks night on stage, and like I feel just like their presence. Not that they need to be front and center all the time, need to be like you know pseudo famous or whatever, but it was just cool to see that the notoriety kind of spreading, and people taking notice of like who's putting in all this work.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a cool thing. I didn't get to see May going on stage, but I saw some videos and it was cool because I was already at
Yes.
the card night helping out there.
And my favorite piece of VCon content is probably the break dancing. There's a video of
Yeah,
May
I saw
break
that.
dancing,
That was
and
cool.
and Andy jumps in at the end. Very cool moment.
Yeah.
So let's break out of this and get into some positivity. Speaking of community members, we mentioned Jeremy before. I think it's an amazing story how someone just jumped in right away from day one, started posting on Instagram, taking over spaces, uh, just being the know-it-all in the best way possible, and to give value to the community, and really being an unbelievable ambassador for this project and this
hmm
community and this ecosystem and all of the above. When did you when did you know that Jeremy was going to be on the team?
It was probably like a week before. I think it was either Daniel or May told me. Oh no, May told me and Daniel and like one or two others when we were in a meeting, and she mentioned it, and I was like, no way, like this is real. So that was an exciting moment. Like that's kind of like the same reaction for everybody else who's in the meeting, because I think it might have been like Tyler Dowdle who was in the call as well. So like we're all like in tune with the community, and so we're like, this is cool. Like it's about time, you know.
Right.
He's been working hard, so it's cool that we found a position for him.
That was my next question. Like it was probably surprising to hear it, but at the same time not surprising at all, because
Yeah.
I imagine it was something you saw coming.
hmm Yeah, yeah, I saw it coming at some point, but I didn't know it was at that point, like right then and there, you know. So it was a cool moment.
And what kind of, I mean, I don't want you to, I never want to put you on the spot to share things that you are internal or whatever, but how has he changed, if at all, the dynamics of the team perspective?
Yeah, he's like so he does like this a lot of like social strategy and stuff, but he's also kind of like, you can consider him kind of on the community team. He's not, but he brings a lot of good feedback from the community as well. Um, so that's very helpful as well, and he gets in more spaces than I do. so he brings just a little more. Um, and so it's awesome to have like another person uh, besides me and Daniel bringing in more of that feedback, and just like that extra eye on things. So it's been very helpful, and he always has a lot of great insight on like Fud My Jobs, for example. Going back to that, like he always brings good insight there, and good like feedback and ideas.
Mm. I can imagine. It was a great move. Obviously, I think there was like a 4 hour like space for him congratulating. Like I think that it was a unanimous, amazing decision on the team's part.
Yeah.
So let's move to VCon this year. Last year was the first time. Everybody didn't really quite know what to expect. I think you were just like getting out of college or whatever, like just joining the team for the first time. A lot was going on. Uh, VCon 2, Indianapolis, May 2023. Curious from your perspective, um, how it went. Like, did it meet your expectations? Were you like super prepped for internally? Just curious to hear your insights from leading up to that, and then while you're at the event.
Yeah. So first, to go back to last VCon, I I I I think I was still part time at the time, so it was cool to be able to work that. It was just like, it was very cool to work VCon last year, and then I became full time a month after. So that was a cool transition into what I do now. And then leading up to this VCon, I didn't have. Okay, no, I did. I didn't do a lot like in regards to the event of Econ, but I helped onboarding a lot of people who were Gary fans, um, as well as influencers that were invited or wanted to come. So I helped onboard a lot of them. I made videos, so a lot of them were onboarded through the videos, but some of them hopped on calls, so it was cool to meet them, and then meet like other Gary V fans and Indianapolis locals. Um, and then VCon just exceeded my expectations. Like I didn't know what to expect, but there was definitely a lot more preparation going into this VCon than last year. Our events team killed it. Um, and they'll never hear the end of it, but um, it was very cool to see how much like more organized and strategically planned it was, and it was very surreal to see like how big of a difference it was from VCon 1 to 2, especially like the I think the biggest example I've seen a lot of people share is the what's the outdoor event name, and why am I forgetting that?
Field
The
day.
field day. Yeah, the field day was just on another level compared to last year, so that was definitely very cool.
Yeah, it totally was amazing. Amazing venue. It was great to filter from there to the amphitheater for
Hmm.
Busta.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I,
Um,
I I didn't know how to get there until I saw a crowd of people walking over there. I was like, all right, let's go this way. I mean, I was with team members and they did, but we figured it out. It was cool.
and so I think one of the things that people were super excited about, and in my eyes, it was a huge step to bring the team and the community closer, was having that community stage.
Hmm.
There was a lot of chatter about involving the community more, and in comes this initiative where you're going to have a community stage. And first of all, the backdrop, talk about the venue, the backdrop to that
Yeah, that was cool.
overlooking the river was super awesome.
Yeah.
Um, just talk it. When did you find out that we were going to, or maybe you were on the team, the round table that had the idea? Talk to us about the origin of the community stage.
Yeah, I don't know who came up with the idea, but I do recall Daniel sharing the idea with me. I was like, we have to do that. Like, you shouldn't even be asking me for like
Hmm.
like it's 100% we have to do it. Um, and so when we released like the applications and stuff for it, it was very difficult to sift through, because there's so many great community members and community members that provide value. Um, so kind of a combination of me, Daniel, and Jacqueline, who's now on the events team, but she's still doing the access events. She's still the access events coordinator. She's just in the events department now. Um, and so us three, like we kind of sifted through figuring out like who we think is best. And like I said, it was very difficult, and we had some help from other members of the team. I think Jeremy helped
Hmm.
a little bit with that. So that was like a difficult time because it was like we're doing something awesome. It's like, well, crap, we can't include everyone. we only have
Right.
we only have this much time, and so that was difficult. And then I didn't do much after that, but they planned like based on who we selected, like what the stages are going to be, um, like or what the conversation topic is going to be, um, and then they moderated the stages. So lot of cool stuff that went into it.
Yeah, I've heard many crazy numbers, but to the best of your ability, do you remember ballpark how many applications came in?
I have no clue. It was at least a couple hundred, but I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Yeah, I definitely I know a lot of people did not uh, want to be in that position where you had to pick and choose, who made it
Yeah,
and who didn't. Uh, is it something that's going to live on?
honestly, I have no clue. I think it would be cool um, to definitely keep doing it and bring different faces. We could still have GT usher it or whatever, but um, I think it could definitely have some cool, like we could just have more cool people on from the community every year. Be something cool,
Was
or even at other events too.
totally, yeah. That's a good point. The GT being the host,
Host, not
and
usher. Yeah, same thing.
the
I said I
keynote
said usher.
speaker. He'd be a great usher, though. He'd be
Yeah, I'm
very,
sure. I'm sure. I don't know.
very
I
energetic usher.
yeah.
Was that something? Did you guys have? Was that a role that you had in mind to fill, or is it like, okay, we have to give GT something, and he'd kill it at this? Was it
I'm
a
not.
tailor-made role?
Honestly, I think it was like we wanted GT to be one of the speakers. Um, and then I wasn't involved with it at first, but I think Daniel or maybe May or maybe both of them came up with like, well, what if he, you know, what was the word again? Host. I was about to say usher again. I don't know why. I don't know why that word's in my head. But um, so like once they came up with that, I was supposed to be on the call when when Daniel asked him if he wanted to be the host, but I couldn't make it. I was finishing up a different call, and so
Oh,
I missed the call. So that would have been cool to just see his reaction and everything. But I think it was like we wanted GT on a space, and then or on a stage, and then we pivoted like what he'd be doing to the host, and I think it was a good decision overall.
absolutely, absolutely. People really enjoyed uh, just cheering on people like their friends. Like it was a really cool. And I know you mentioned influencers and bringing them on. I feel like there was a lot of small pockets of people that all of the speakers brought that maybe wouldn't have been there had they not have spoken
Yep.
there and had a great time.
Hmm.
Um, and when you said influencers earlier, did you mean like Web3 specific or like just general
General.
content
And a
creators?
lot of that, like, it was very cool to see them like hanging out with the community. Like, a lot of them were just having conversations with community members. Like, it was just very cool. Like, you just walk by and you're seeing someone you've seen on TikTok or something, and you're like, wait a second, you gotta take a double take, and he's just talking to like a community member, just having
Right.
a normal conversation. Like, it was very cool. Like, a lot of them were very cool people.
Totally. Like I didn't know a lot of the people, but some of the people like I found out Reezy was there, and I was like, holy shit! Like I've been watching this guy for years. I actually just had him on the podcast,
Hmm.
but it was awesome. So you were literally inviting and onboarding some of these guys.
I was onboarding them. I don't know what the process was behind it, but I was pretty much I I curated 3 videos. One was how to make a MetaMask in under 2 minutes because my thought process was if they're like an influencer or anything, sometimes they might not have a lot of time to do stuff like this. So video to make a MetaMask under 2 minutes, um, how to set up a VeeFriends profile in like 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and then how to register a VCon ticket in like 2 minutes. And then we had like a whole PowerPoint presentation that we'd use on certain calls for onboarding them and um, anyone else that needed help buying a ticket. And so we did that. Like they would set up calls through like a Calendly, um, and we would just hop on a call with them. I did majority of them, but Jacqueline helped out with a lot of them, which was it was nice. I think Daniel did one or two. It was definitely nice to have some people help because sometimes there was a ton, and it was just like calls
Mm,
back to back, um, and yeah, sometimes it got tiring because you're repeating the same stuff for
sure.
hours. And it's just like, all right, I need someone to sub out for this one.
Yeah. You
Um,
look up and it's 8 hours later.
yeah, so it was a cool experience though because I was able to first of all meet like people who've been Gary fans for a while, and a lot of them like shared their background, so it was cool to understand that, and then meet people who are successful in the social media industry or other industries, YouTube, whatever. Um, so it was a cool all around experience, and being able to like lead that was a very cool thing as well.
I bet. It's super, super cool. I didn't know that. Just to, while we're on VCon, so when the schedule came out, the last year, it was a session during the day on Sunday, and they kicked you out after like the event was over. This time, the sessions wrapped up during the day on Saturday. Then you came back for a concert and a card night and the Uno tournament.
Hmm.
And I know like there was kind of mixed feelings on that. And at this time, I wasn't deep in the card world like I am now. So it was kind of like, oh, like, are people going to show up? Are people going to bounce out? Like, are people just going to go out or whatever? But it ended up being such
Insane.
an amazing time. First of all, the Uno tournament was insane. Like, I felt like I was walking into like a professional like poker room at a casino.
Yeah, it was
Card
cool.
night, card night was insane. It was just people opening packs wherever. Like at each four corners, there's like Johnny Walker being handed out. Like there's something for everybody.
Yep.
Just your thoughts on maybe the ideation of that. Were you part of that? Your thoughts and how your experience was.
Yeah, I wasn't involved with too much of the planning for it. I made the co-op for it and tried my best to get around to everyone to give the co-op. Not everybody got it. Clearly, there's a lot more people than any of us expected. So that was problem number one. Because like I don't think any of us expected there to be that much hype and that many people there, even like the events team. So it was so cool to see how many people stuck around, and I even mentioned it to um, someone on our events team. I was like, this had to be like strategically planned. Like the concert's on the one side, and in order for them to exit, they go to the other side, and on the other
Mm.
side is the card night. And so,
Yeah.
like, and that was planned, which was just I was like, hey, of course it was, like, duh. But it was just so cool um, to see how many people were interested in the cards that you like. A lot of people I saw there, I didn't even realize they cared about the cards at all, and they were there having a good time, ripping packs and all that. I was able to rip some packs with some community members, which was fun. Um, and yeah, like it was so cool.
Yeah, and you guys showed up. You're like, here's Gary opening. Here's Andy
Hmm.
opening, signing, taking pictures, like just in it. It was so cool. And just to on this point, like it's one of those other little things that people don't realize at the beginning when they're like, why is it in Indianapolis? Like there was nothing else to do. Like why? Like everyone's already here. It's the last night. Why not stay and hang out with everyone? Like there's no like this is where the party's at. This is where it's going
I,
down.
yeah, I signed my first card there too.
My next question was how many did you sign?
Just one,
Let's
just one,
go.
just yours. Yeah.
Um,
So
Chelsea and I were putting together a batch to send to PSA.
I don't know if
That's
he'll
where
authenticate that.
no, I was like, man, do I send these signed cards? Um,
They all have the
But
kid Gary's if you wanted to, but I don't know about
yeah,
Andy.
no,
Andy might not be one of the people that you can select at the time.
right. I'm gonna hold on. I got an Andy, a D-Rock Harpic, and a Corso kind warrior. If the lemurs weren't so hard to come by, it would have been a lemur.
I would have loved to sign a lemur if it wasn't hard to come by.
But right now, I don't want any other signed Corso cards out there.
Yeah, they're not coming. There's none going to be in that signature anymore. Because after it, I was like, my signature was kind of lame, and so I changed it. So that's a 101.
I love it. Let's go. I'm gonna get into really deep niche VeeFriends cards collectibles. Just I'm gonna get I'll get like a May sign something, and
You'll get that
uh,
random yellow card that someone got. You'll buy it off them.
yes, so cool. May. Let's stick for May. Why is May such a legend?
She just is like
May is on this all-time Hall of Fame.
she's
Try to
like
articulate it.
yeah like I don't know. There's something about like her work ethic that like bleeds off to other like when you see her working hard, it's like kind of hard not to. Um, and like she's very helpful. Like if you need help and you ask for help, she'll guide you through it. It doesn't even matter like if it's in her expertise. Like she just knows how to do everything. I don't know how she does. Um, the one thing that she didn't know how to do at first was Discord. I was able to help with that. But like she's like an expert on like everything without being an expert. She just has like very good insight on a lot of things based on like previous things she's done with Team Gary. I think is what she was on or something. But yeah, she's just the the most helpful probably person that I've worked with, and I've only had 2 jobs, but that should not take away from the fact that she's like extremely helpful. She's extremely good at what she does, and like I said, her work ethic is like one of a kind. It definitely has made me work harder.
That's awesome. That's great to have. That's great to have. One of the quotes, like obviously Gary's in my head all the time, but one of the quotes that like I can't get out of my head, it's in one piece of content he said, I would trust May with my life. And just the way he said it, I was like, wow, like that's so powerful. Um, but yeah, May,
I think I probably could too. Trust her with my life. She'll
she's just
figure
that
it
kind
out.
of person.
Yeah.
Who is the who is someone that we can blow the whistle on in a good way? Like all of you guys are so humble, and but so many of you guys are behind the scenes. Who's someone that we could blow the whistle on in a positive way, just to give a little bit more attention for their work ethic, what they contribute, the kind of person they are that the community may not know so much about.
I kind of want to say like departments, but the two easy people that come off top of my head is Daniel, um, head of community. He's extremely helpful for me. Um, I I'm a weird person, and so like I never really tried to lean on him or May for help, but recently like when I need help, I do, and he's extremely helpful as well. Um, and he's able to like help me with a lot of things, even like stuff that's not work related. Like he's always there for me. So it's he's very awesome. And then Jacqueline as well. She's the Access Events coordinator. Like the amount of work that she was telling me she puts into, and that I've seen that she puts into like the Access events is insane. Like I didn't realize how much how much work was actually put into it. Um, the last thing is just the tech team. I love the tech team. They're great people, hard workers, and they're always just killing it. So shout out to them too.
Shout out to the tech team.
I guess
Yeah,
I didn't just pick one person, but I
no,
couldn't.
that's it's hard. It's hard
It's
to
hard to. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I've never talked to Eric, but Cam doesn't live too far from me, so we have
Cam's
that
cool.
kind of
Yeah, yeah,
connection.
they're all great people. All the whole tech team. I like every now and then we'll be playing games and stuff. It's good times. Not during the
Ru-
workday, after late at night.
Roughly how many people? I know you don't work directly with them, but maybe in like Slack or like somewhere there's an account. Do you have an idea of roughly how many people are on the tech team?
7, 8, 9, probably like 8. I think is a fair guess for me. I can't Can't recall off the top of my head. Something around there.
Andrew Schultz. Grade the Andrew Schultz performance on a scale of 10 at VCon.
It was my first time seeing him live, and I've watched him before, like on YouTube and stuff, like his like stand up skits at like just comedy clubs. Um, I think it was a 10. Um, you know, his comedy's not for everyone. Totally understand that, but his comedy, I like that kind of comedy. I also like stupid comedy. So there's like my two types of comedy, and I think he killed it with like because he had like a very good balance of like genuinely like appreciating Gary and then absolutely roasted him, and it was a great combination. Gary liked it. Um, it was cool. Like it was a very it was a cool thing to. Like, it was a cool person to see perform live. Like, there's a lot of comedians I like. He's one of my favorites, and so it was cool to see him live.
Totally. I feel, yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I had never seen him. I've heard his name, but
Hmm.
everyone was like, oh, Andrew Schultz, Andrew Schultz. So, like, the bar for me was high. But just first of all, he's just so funny. And just
Yeah,
the way he balanced that tightrope of, like, what, because a VeeFriends crowd is not the easiest to,
hundred
like, get
percent.
everyone. Like, there's a lot of I want to be careful with my words. A lot of people that are focused on the kindness and positivity, and that might find it difficult to laugh at a joke that's kind of, um, not for everyone,
Yeah,
mean spirited. But I think he just killed it. I'd give it an 11 out of 10. Like I was crying. I was healed
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Amazing.
It
Like
was it was a good time. Like, it
um,
was very cool.
and he it was very contextual to be friends. A lot of it. So
Yeah, it was cool. Like,
amazing.
I haven't really seen. I don't think I've seen a comedian live. Probably since I was on a cruise ship when I was like 9, and I don't even know who the comedian was. I don't even remember any of it, but I remember I saw one at one point. But so like I like going into it, I didn't know what to expect, and like he did his fair share of research, and it was cool to see like how much like they actually like because he could have just used like a stand up you know routine or whatever that he does at other shows, but he like curated it towards like VeeFriends slash Gary. So it was a cool.
Hmm.
It was really cool.
Yeah, with all those weekend speakers and performers, I'm always curious, like about the back end, like what the relationship is. Are they a Vayner client? Are they thinking about Vayner Sports? So Andrew Schultz was one. I was like, huh, I wonder what the relationship is here.
Yeah, I watch. I always like watching the daily V's because some of the stuff like
Hmm.
it's funny like some of the videos like I saw him like walking around at like one point during VCon and then I see it in the video of him walking by or whatever. So it's funny to see that. Um, but like the daily V's like that's where I go to see like how does he interact with these people like behind the scenes and like they had a very good interaction like behind the scenes. I don't know. I think it was the third daily V of VCon or second or something. It would have been the second, right? Yeah. Um, so it was cool to see that they had like a decent relationship already. So it would be cool to know like his relationship with everyone just to see how fucking widespread his network is. But I think we're already under the impression probably are right that he's just that guy. He's got like a very it's just who he is, you know. He's since he's very positive and very helpful and all that. Like it's hard not to want to have a conversation with him or meet him or whatever. So
Absolutely. It's funny you mentioned Daily V. I think Daily V's are like, first of all, so educational. Like you
yeah,
learn so much from it. I'm taking upon myself. I started at Daily V1 and I'm watching everyone. I'm just taking notes. A lot for this project I'm working on with this pod and book. But like I'm just learning so much, and just you put pieces together and thinking about the characters, like when he mentions, you know, empathy or other projects, because obviously, like with workplace warriors and all these things, like he's had ideas before, so it's just cool to look back in history to see these kind of ideas coming to the surface.
yeah.
But
He posted some for the Axis events, which is cool because it's like you get to see like the behind the scenes of like what the Axis events are,
mhm,
and like how they go down and what they like how it's planned and everything. The one that he hasn't posted is the bow and bow. I don't know if that's coming, but I whooped him twice. Anyways, continue.
twice.
Yeah,
What do you?
continue.
Where are you? Are you in the 150 range? Are you a
No, it
200
was
guy?
no, not even. So the bowling lanes that we were on, they just like weren't oiled, and so it was a struggle. I just bowl straight anyways, and so I was able to bowl it down the lane. I think I got like 120 and then 119,
That's not bad.
which isn't great if anybody's bowled. Um, but on those lanes it was best because a lot of people who like bowl like if they bowl like more casually than normal people, sometimes they curve it. And you can't curve it on those on the lanes. Just they just happen to not be oiled. There's even a bowling pro there. I think she's the number one in women's. I forgot her name, um, but she's a very good bowler, and she just couldn't for the life of her bowl it with a curve because if you curve it on a non-oiled lane, it just
Right.
keeps curving. It doesn't like I don't know. It's so you know there's excuses
Which
to be had from the other parties that I beat.
um is she a holder? Is she a,
I I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Um, but she was very personal. She was very friendly. Um, it was cool.
is this the one it has to be the one where like Gary made some bet with a guy
Yep,
and the
yep.
guy bowled a strike?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was like the room like erupted because we all kind of like overheard what the bet was, and then everybody stopped and then watched, and people took out their phones. They're like, "We gotta we gotta record this," and wow, what a moment that was! Like, I don't think anybody expect like he wasn't bowling good. Even Gary said like he wasn't bowling good. He was just having a good time, which is totally fine. Um, it just bowls a strike out of nowhere. It's
Amazing.
crazy.
What were the terms again? I can't remember I know it was an epic piece of content, but do
I
you
think it
remember the
was
terms?
25,000 into his company if he bowled a strike or something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he just happened. Well, he bowled a nine, and then the final pin fell down after he turned around.
Yeah, that's
Like it
fantastic.
couldn't have been like planned better than that because like it didn't fall down right away. So
Right.
it was cool.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like Gary's like pointing in the video because the dude had turned
Because
around.
of yeah, the pin fell.
Did you beat Tom? I know Tom was
Yeah,
there.
of course. Yeah, Tom was easy.
Did Tom break 80?
I don't know what his scores were, but I beat everybody in both games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good to
nothing
know.
crazy or anything.
Good to know. So, we have and this I feel like you said that, things aren't as active anymore. But it's kind of just perspective how you look at it. If you're into the cards, like every night it feels like there's a stream going on.
Oh
So it
yeah,
depends how you're looking at it. It depends what
yeah.
niches you are. Are there some other niches? I know like I'm not a holder, but I know the Mint Minks have like a a very active discourse uh in relationship based on like researching projects and things like that. Are there any other niches that maybe the community at large doesn't really know about that are kind of active in their own little niche?
Um, there definitely is. I feel like they're more broad. So there's like a few people who host Twitter Spaces. Web3 Stoop is one of them. I know Gambler hosts Spaces from time to time. You were co-hosting one yesterday. Um, there's a bunch of like community members that host Twitter Spaces, and those are great places to just mingle with people and chat about whatever they're chatting about, whether it's VeeFriends or like crypto in general or cards or literally anything. So that's like a cool spot to just kind of meet more community members and have conversations with them. Um, the Twitch is another niche of like the card community. It's like a sidebar from the card channels. And I think it's probably more active depending on what they're opening. Because sometimes there'll be 50, 60, 70 people in there, and Gary doesn't tweet it. VeeFriends doesn't tweet it. It's just that's just how many people want to go see a Series One box opening, or crazy box battle or something. Um, I think the other one is just it's another broad one, but there's a lot of like IRL communities that have formed from VeeFriends. I think the most prominent one that I've seen, and I'm definitely going to the next IRL meetup because I told them I wanted to at some point, is the Boston VeeFriends. They
Yeah,
always
I
have
was just thinking
meetups.
that.
They're always killing it. I think they're definitely the most active IRL community out of all of them. But it's cool to see people host meetups and hang out with the crew. And then of course, like any like VeeFriends event that we host, there's always like similar faces at them. So I don't know. There's a lot of like different like definitely if you want to like meet people, like these IRL events are awesome. There's a channel in the Discord, VF Connect. You can host your own in there. You can chat with people and kind of plan one around like or just like get like a dinner with people. Like it's definitely I think that's the best way to go. But I don't know. I can't think of any other like side communities that there are. I know Mohit has one. Like when there's eruptions, like he likes to like do it with people.
Hmm.
Um, like the trivia, I think he was doing, or something. I don't know, but a lot of people
He,
have like their own side communities, and it's cool. It's cool to see like them grow. You know, those kind of side things. Um, but man, I can't think of any others. I feel like there's more that I'm missing too. But anyways.
yeah, I'm super bullish. I mean, it's just another highlight of how amazing this community is. The people that take it upon themselves to create these, especially the IRL, because
Yeah,
you
we
know
need
I'm
some gaming
still.
ones and some pickleball ones and some other sports. Like we need a little bit of everything. So maybe that's something I'll do. I start. There's nobody in my area that is in VeeFriends. Besides, there's like a few people that are. I know Luna's not too far from me, and then um uh I forget. I was gonna say her Twitter name. Her name's Kate. I can't think of her Twitter name, but she lives very close to me. But besides that, I don't know of anyone else. Um, Yeah, it's cool. Like hopefully, I'm definitely next time I go to New York, I'm definitely playing pickleball in Central Park. That's a
I think we need an official VCon tournament next year.
pickleball. Yeah, yeah, we definitely do.
Um,
I hope that's in the plans because I the reason why I started playing pickleball is I played it once at VCon at the field day, and I was just like, this is so much fun. Like I don't know, I played with one of my coworkers, Allison, and she's played a little bit, and so she was kind of teaching me the rules a little bit, but there was also two pros there teaching us, so it was cool.
yeah, that's
It was
right.
a it was a cool experience.
Uh, yeah, field day hopefully is something that is replicated, and I loved the different variety of entertainment too. So it wasn't like three straight concerts. The comedy I hope comes back, uh,
It was
and
definitely cool. It was cool. There's a variety, like you said. There's a little bit of everything that and like the speakers as well. Like there are certain speakers that some people wouldn't really care for, and then there's other speakers that like everyone was there for. But I think every speaker provided value to their own demographic and outside demographics. And then there's like the outdoor activities at the field day. There's like the sports competition. There was pickleball. There was like slides, the little slide at the Bud Light thing. I think yeah, there's a Cheetos stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff to do. You just walk around and yeah, it was cool.
did you find yourself getting stopped for like, hey Corso, I'm so and so, like let's do a selfie? Did you get a lot of that this year?
Yeah,
More so than.
definitely. I think last year was probably easier for people if they wanted to because I was at the merch booth the whole time pretty much. So if like I'd have people DM me and they're like, "Where are you? I want to meet you." I'm like at the merch booth until I until VCon's
Nice.
over. No, so that was definitely easier last year, um, but yeah, definitely people, and it's still a very like surreal thing to happen. It's just like someone stops you, like, "You're Corso, right?" It's like, yeah, and then a lot of times I recognize them. I'm like, oh, you're yeah. So it's cool.
We're in a place where obviously I feel weird even saying the word the term floor price. I mean, the floor price is super down. The whole market's down. The people, if they're showing any emotion, it's negative. It's not. I mean, if your sole desire is for arbitrage, like it's a great time, but at the same time, like Gary has been saying, this is a long term thing. Like they're building a business here, so there's no for the majority of people, there's no really financial advantage to getting in now, unless you're going to be here for a long time and you truly believe in it. But I'm taking that out of the equation. What do you say? Like we're talking about onboarding influencers, we're talking about speakers, inviting other people, having an amazing time at VCon, meeting great people. Like, what do you think if it's not, buy this thing that's going to go up in value? What do you say is the reason to join in and participate in this community now?
Yeah, there's definitely a few things. I think number one is community. Like, there's just so many awesome people that kind of have the same traits that all our characters have. Like, we definitely have one of everyone in comparison to all the traits. Like, there's at least one person who has that trait in every single trait. I'm 100% confident in that. I'm not gonna. If anybody tries to quiz me on that, I'm not gonna be able to answer for you. But I know for a fact, since there's so many community members, that there has to be, statistically, But I think number one is community, just because there's a lot of community members in like every field that you can think of, um, whether it's law enforcement, podcasting, teaching, like teachers. There's a ton of teachers. There's a little bit of everything, um, and so you can definitely get help in your profession from the community. Um, the community members, a lot of people have even said like they've met people from the VeeFriends community, and it feels like they've known them forever, and they've only known them for 2 years at max. You can't know them for longer because the VeeFriends community it's only 2 years old, a little bit like 2 years and 2 months. Um, so there's a lot of like great connections to be made. I think on top of that, there's a lot of like we've mentioned side uh, communities. So like there's the cards community. So if you love like collecting cards, like that's like it's a lot of fun because it's for me too. It's like getting to know, like coming from Pokemon and like a little bit of sports cards into or even like for example when I went from Pokemon to sports cards, I was still collecting Pokemon, but I had to learn like what sports cards are people interested in getting. Like if I were to sell it or I were to pull it, like should I sell this card? Should I keep it? And it's the same thing with like VeeFriends cards because you're learning a whole new ecosystem if you don't know anything about VeeFriends. So you're learning about all these new characters and it's a very fun way to learn. And then there's now we got pins coming. There's a lot of people who collect pins from like Disney, Universal. I personally have a small collection of pins from like Six Flags because I go there
Oh,
most of the
nice.
time, Universal. Um, and so there's just a lot of like side communities, whether it's collecting, whether it's, networking. Um, yeah, I think it's just like it's all of that plus just like very nice people. Like they have those ethos of the VeeFriends characters, and so regardless of what there is, it's always like a good environment. So I think that's the best part is just the environment, um, and the type of people that we've already drawn into the community.
I I love it. I wouldn't have changed anything about that response.
I definitely missed like one or two like side communities, but it doesn't matter.
No,
I still got to the
it's
point.
you did, and that's what it's all about. Like it is what you make of it. Like I can't
That's
tell you.
exactly it. It is what you make of it. Like what you want out of it, you can definitely get. You just got to work hard, or find it, or do it.
At VCon, predominantly it was the vibes are amazing. I was having such great conversations, reminiscing, talking about different things, learning more about deeply about other people. Walking to one of the hotel bars after one of the concerts, and I also met a, a, a go that was extremely disgruntled. Like there was nothing that anyone could say that could even be like a neutral comment. It was all just flipped, and it was just totally perspective. And 9 times out of 10, it's true. Like you just over over leveraged yourself and overpaid. And unfortunately, the goats are in that kind of pocket where, man, they bit off a lot more than they could chew or could handle as far as what they bought in for, expecting different returns. And I'm sure you see a lot of that in your world, being a
Mm-hmm.
goat yourself. Uh, so it's just how you look at it. Do
100%.
you and you could you could plead the fifth on this, because it's one of those weird things where you're a team member and a holder. So just say five if you want to plead the fifth. Do you think that there's going to be some kind of utility past the 3 years of gifts, past the 18 for the
Uh,
goats?
I personally don't know. Yeah, I don't really know. I think it would be cool. Um, but I think there's definitely a nice pipeline of gifts to come, uh, for at least these final ones that are promised.
Mm.
But for example, too, like the original gift goat was just like physical gifts, and now there's an NFT with every single one. So that was like a little addition that we added just to keep like keep the I don't want to say goat community specifically, but keep the VeeFriends community looking into other art or knowing about
Hmm.
other art, because we've had a lot of cool artists um, come through, and so that was like a fun addition. That wasn't necessarily something that was like written in stone, but it was like I don't know whose idea. It was probably like a Gary's, like let's get some art. I don't know. Whoever it was, I think it was a very cool addition, because now like goats, including myself, like I have like a cool collection of like all these artists that some of them I didn't know about, or maybe I heard about but I never really looked into. So it's like it's a cool mixture.
Yeah, and it's funny, we were talking about side IRL events, and we have a very active. I'm in Charleston. We have a very active Charleston crypto group, and they're all degens, but I was the one ambassador, like pushing VeeFriends all of the time. There's actually
Hmm.
there's one other guy, but there's like 30 guys in the group, and I'm like, everyone feels the same way. Like, oh yeah, like I'm looking at it. It seems like a cool community, but no one's really wants to take that extra step. So because of the goats, Beeple does these events here where he gives away NFTs. He does a live everyday drawing, and it's cool. He has QR codes, and you can scan it. And some people are lucky and they win that every day. So you
Hmm.
become a Beeple holder. So one of my friends who I was talking into coming to VCon, he goes to all of these events. He won a Beeple every day, and then
It's crazy.
right in that same week they did the drawing for the goats, because for the Beeple one, 555 went to the goats, and 555 of that drawing, of that piece, went to 555 random Beeple holders too. So
Hmm.
he became eligible for that drawing, and he got the
Wow.
goat one.
He joined
And
both communities
so he
in a
joined both
week.
communities in a week, and lo and behold, went to VCon and enjoyed himself. So it's just cool how the
That's awesome.
collaborations really help, just shine lights on other things, and you never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah, I've definitely learned about a lot of cool artists, and it's cool to see like their some of them have like included like the gift goat into it, and it's just cool to see the gift goat kind of like take on these different art styles and all that. Like it's a very cool thing to just see how it looks in this artist or that artist's mind.
Totally. And doing this podcast, one, I've really gotten it's become a game to like collect receipts. I know
Yeah.
Gary's big on receipts. Take the Macy's thing. Like, people are going nuts about the Macy's drop. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, this is going to take over the world. Everyone's going to know about it. People are, buying everything out, going crazy. And now they go on sale, and everyone's like, fuck this. Like, why is this half off?
Yeah.
Um, it's amazing how quickly the sentiment can
Yeah.
turn on a dime.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a store shelf life thing. Like,
I know,
it's
but like,
just
people read into it. But receipts has been really cool for me. But just keeping track of the stories of people, specific artists, makes up a lot of this that come from this VeeFriends tree.
yep.
Is super cool to just see them now, and what people are evolving to, whether it's the GTs or, gamblers, or, I saw you were in on there with Alyssa and what she's doing,
Yeah.
on that space. So many cool stories. And it just, VeeFriends is just one of the things that we all have in common.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely the one of the coolest things, or one of the things I enjoy doing within the VFriends community is like recently I've been trying to listen to every single one of the podcasts you've done, because like I haven't watched all of them, and it's like I'm learning about all these community members and learning about stuff I didn't know. Like even like I watched the one with Ricky Debler. Like I learned stuff I didn't know, and I'm decent friends with him. Like I chat with him from time to time. I've met him in person, like outside of VFriends events, and I learned stuff I didn't know. So it's so cool to like listen to podcasts like yours or listen to Twitter Spaces where people are getting interviewed, because you just learn things you didn't know about them, and it's cool. It's cool to learn about community members that like you interact with, if not daily, like weekly. So it's cool. It's cool to kind of have that insight and really know who they are. Because next time you have a conversation with them, you kind of understand them better.
of course. And first of all, I appreciate you listening. But yeah, Ricky Debler is an amazing story. And
And I didn't know I didn't know all of the details. Like I knew part of the details, but like he definitely went in more in depth. So it was such a cool, like it was cool to just learn those little things I didn't know.
mhm.
Um, he's just such a good story overall.
And he, right now, he's still my most listened to episode. And I've had, like, you've been on, Andy, D-Rock, like, people, for those that know, really gravitate towards that. And such an interesting, uh, smart guy.
Yeah.
And he took it down, but I don't know if you ever saw his Insta. He really calculated every move. He flipped
Hmm.
$1 million of VeeFriends.
Yeah.
Every screenshot was there, but he took it down. So cool, so cool. I love this community. Can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Wrapping up here, is there, what do you? I feel like, I feel like you have to talk about the market a little bit, just because that's the driver for
Sure.
everything. But do you, and no one has a crystal ball, do you kind of see this 2023, 24, 25? Do you think this is going to be a time period where people get more into to the niches and the community sub communities that we've been talking about, whether it be the cards or, getting into pickleball, and like that becomes VeeFriends for so many people, like we're kind of living through with the cards? Do you think, eruptions are going to be so amazing that that's going to keep people in? I'm just curious, like, what do you envision for this next kind of this chapter that we're in slash coming into with this?
Yeah. There's definitely been a lot of like, um, there's been a lot of, like I've mentioned before, a lot less like activity in certain fields of really any NFT space, any projects space. But I definitely think there's a lot of like the true um, people who like believe in any project, or believe in, yeah, believe in any project, like the community, or like to be a part of certain things. Like those are the people we're seeing still every day. It really shows like their true colors and who they really are. Um, and I do think if this like the market continues the way it is, I think it might dwindle down a little bit, but I think there's still like a lot of people we see now are probably still going to be here if it goes down more, or if it stays the same, um, just because like that it's showing their true motives, um, and it's cool to see, like a lot of like the people you would think you'd still see in this space still here, still doing their thing. Um, and I think I definitely do think there are people, there might be new side like communities that form during this, and I hope so. Like I think that would be the best case scenario, is like more side communities form, and more people interact, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that can happen in that sense, and I hope that's something that happens. I also hope that the market, eventually goes back up for everyone's sake and everybody's sanity, just because, regardless if they're overinvested or not, it's never fun to have your investment go down, or to have your investment. not perform as well as it was, or whatever. So I think for everyone's like mental health or sanity, like of course we want it to go up at some point just to reassure us that we made the right decision, or you know just because it's like if you're having a conversation with a friend, they're like, oh, how's that NFT you have doing? It's like, well, not the best.
Right.
And then like, I told you, blah blah blah. It's like, well, no, you didn't. Like it'll be fine. And it's just like having those like thoughts in your head, or having people say that to you, is like, crap. Like, come on, we gotta figure this market out. What's going on? Um, but at the same time, it doesn't, like, that shouldn't matter. You know that that's not important. But it's always nice to be right sometimes.
Exactly. But I feel like it doesn't matter to most of the people here still here now.
It doesn't.
Um,
No, 100%.
which is really special. I pulled
Yep.
one quote while I was listening back to our first episode, and you said, "I want the community to be as awesome as possible." And I feel like it's different now. Like I feel like with this wave that has come of of negative sentiment and down market, it has washed away the people that were most of the people that were not here for the right reasons, and maybe they'll come back when things are great. But it's very interesting to see who's here. Speaking of receipts, right,
Yeah.
and how they're navigating relationships and what they're giving to the community. So
Yeah,
it's
and
a
that's nothing
very
on them. Nothing on them at all.
right.
And hopefully they do come back. That'd be awesome. I think that would be best case scenario.
But as far as there you learn a lot. You learn more
Yeah.
about their intentions, the kind of person they are, how they're navigating. So I think it's very interesting. And Gary called it too. Like he was screaming from the rooftops forever. Like you know, this is 99% are going to fail. Like, do not over leverage yourself. Like he said all the right things. Now you have
Yeah.
people that say like he really riled up some things and hyped things. I just don't think he can help himself in that regard.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard. It's hard to not be excited about things you're working on that you
sure.
really believe in. It's just how, like, you should be excited about things you're working on if you're confident in it. Like, because if you're not, you're not gonna. It's not gonna. You're not gonna perform well in the, like, in executing it if you're not confident or you're not excited about it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And he's just so good at what he does. And you said it, just the belief. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
100%.
I'm one of those. Just I'm here, evangelist here, just because I believe in it. And now I'm starting to see, what it's doing to the next generation too. Just because I'm living with a younger generation that's seeing the cards, learning about the characters, learning about traits through them, like really learning about it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And Katie was on. Katie did an episode. It's not out yet, but she said something like that really hit me. Like our kids are going to meet each other through this.
Yeah.
So like the generations are just going to build as the years are already starting to trickle on by. So it's really profound.
100%.
Uh, so real quick, again, I can't thank you enough. I could jam like we could do this forever. At
Forever.
least I
Yeah.
can. So awesome to jam with you face to face. It's always good to see you in the chat, the courses in the chat, but this is
Yeah.
this is better. Really quick, micro macro spitfire, and I know some of the things that you were asked last time, but because the calendar has changed, so could your answers.
Sure.
So let's get into it. Answer as fast or as slow as you want, getting as deep or narrow as you like, or just keep it vague. And of course, not official VeeFriends advice. This is from
Corso.
Corso. This is Corso, the community member in person. If you're just getting into VeeFriends right now, who's one person you need to follow?
Jeremy.
What VeeFriends card is on your bucket list? Number one, the Holy Grail.
Really, just any series one of one lemur. I don't care which one.
the last movie or show you watched that you'd recommend to someone?
Last movie or show? Last movie I watched was probably Moana. Great movie. You haven't
Fantastic
watched it?
movie.
You sing along with it. You'll have a good time. It's a good movie.
The Moana opening number gets me every time.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fantastic.
it's such a good movie. I haven't watched any movies like as of late, but I think my sister turned it on once, and I was like, I'm gonna sit here and watch it. Like, what else am I doing?
The funniest person on the VeeFriends team is
Eric
Eric.
Zettersten.
Oh, Zetterson. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know why I just blanked. Uh, Flip Life, yes or no?
I'm not too big into it. I get too connected with things, and I gotta figure that out before I get into Flip Life. But that's why I wanted to do with sports cards, and I never could because I was like, I really like this card. It looks cool. So not right now, but maybe.
Do you have any side projects that you're working on as a creator or any other ambitions outside of VeeFriends world?
Uh, Outside of VeeFriends world, I tried working on like a Corso cards page, for card content, but and then like a one for Rocket League, but I I don't want to say I get demotivated, but when you post and put a lot of time into stuff and it doesn't get like a lot of like views or comments or anything, like you kind of like, am I doing something wrong? And for me, like when I get to that point, I don't know, I just kind of like slow down because I definitely thought my idea for my Rocket League page was good. Like I made content where every time an own goal happened in any of the games I played in Rocket League, which for anybody who doesn't know Rocket League, it's like car soccer and the cars have rockets on them so you could fly. Um, but so anytime like a own goal would happen, I would clip it and then I would edit it and post it because I was like, everybody posts like their highlights, but nobody posts these. And so I thought I was a genius, but no, it doesn't get that many views. But I did enjoy it, and I learned how to edit. So it was a cool experience. But yeah,
How many did you do? How many did you create?
I think I edited around 80. I posted around like 50 something, 60 maybe.
Well, in the words of D-Rock, keep going.
Yeah, yeah. I still have some edited, so I can still post them. And then the card content I still post, but I haven't posted as many openings. It's just more of like when I get a new card or something, I'm still posting it on my Instagram for that. Um, yeah, I've always wanted to like somewhat be involved with like my own kind of content. I tried streaming at one point, um, but it's very time consuming and and same with like a growth thing. Like you can't really grow if you just stream on Twitch unless you have like an outside thing. So like if you make TikToks from the Twitch and everything. But someone was telling me there's like a you can just put like a whole like hour-long video into like some AI and it can just make a whole bunch of short form content for you. So maybe I'll have to try that out and see how it goes
Yeah,
and
I mean,
tweak it a little bit. But
it doesn't cost you anything to try it.
yeah, 100%.
I haven't played with AI video yet, too.
I
It's
haven't. Yeah.
it's on my radar. It's tough to. It's just like all these things are making your life easier, but it's hard to just like dive in and learn something new. But we're in like that moment of time, like he always talks about, like where we do need to do the education, or at least
Yeah.
I feel like okay, this is the moment, like really prioritize it.
Mhm.
Um, VCon 2024 will be where?
Um, where do I want it? I want it to be. I want it to be in Delaware. No, there's nowhere it would be in Delaware. I don't know.
There's probably a
Let's
minor
say
league
let's
baseball
say
stadium
Italy. Let's
somewhere.
say Italy.
Italy.
Always wanted to visit Italy, so it'd be a reason.
Toronto. If you had to put a percentage on Toronto or a Canadian, a realistic outside of the U.S. city, would it be above 50%?
Outside
Lower
of the
than 50%?
U.S.,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
say I'm gonna say
Toronto is
50%.
okay. So half.
I yeah.
What coin flip of a chance for it to be somewhere else? I mean, because Toronto is
From
the when
Corso
I asked.
perspective, yeah,
Okay, it makes sense.
yeah.
Uh, Toronto, or I feel like anywhere out of the U.S. would be very difficult
Yeah,
to host an
I'm glad I'm
event.
not on the events team because I'm sure it would be difficult.
I can't remember if I asked you this last time. Favorite concert you've ever been to?
I think you might have, and I've never been to like an actual concert. Like besides like these VeeFriends ones, like at VCon, I don't think I've ever really been to a concert. Maybe when I was like really young and I don't remember, but I've always wanted to go to an AJR concert, so that would be my favorite if I ever get to one. Uh, but yeah,
Was there an email blast, a meeting, something that enough time has passed that you can feel comfortable talking about that like really motivated you about this project, Gary's vision, the team's vision, something that was happening?
one thing before VCon, like leading up to VCon, I was trying to go to the office more, and one thing I noticed is like there was like a most of the VFriends team that was there would stay until like 7, 8 o'clock, and they were there right at 9 or 8 in the morning. So they'd be there for 10 hours, 12 hours, just hard at work. Like May was one of them. Someone from the events team, or like two people from the events team. There's a lot of people. Like pretty much most of the VFriends team that was there were there like until you weren't. You know, uh, they were always there. So it was that kind of like motivated me is like if they're working hard and I don't know what they're working on, like I need to keep working hard, you know, because it definitely I think I don't know where I don't know what the percentage was, but I was listening to a video and it's like when people are working harder around you, you work like 30% better. And if there's people like slacking off, you work like very worse, something like that. And they definitely were working very hard, and so you couldn't like even if I didn't like one day I didn't have like much on my to do list. I made up a whole bunch of shit to do because I was like I gotta work on something, and so I found
Right.
things that I could work on. And so I think that this was just very recently, right before VCon.
That's awesome. And I heard that recently. Actually, I think it was in a Stephen Bartlett podcast.
It might have
I
been.
I, I
I just
heard
saw a
that.
clip of it.
It's,
So I don't know, but it was definitely yeah.
um, recently we just had a moment where the V1 Zero Cool cards, the sealed box, flipped V1 the NFT,
Hmm.
which a lot of people are surprised about. Throw out a number in 2033, 10 years. What will a sealed box of Zero Cool go for? Series one.
15,000. I think is it's a fair guess. It's gonna be hard to tell though, because who knows how many boxes are left.
I mean, at this
Yeah.
rate, there's going to be none in 10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and if someone had if someone had one question, I'm not going to ask you specifically, but based on what you know, if someone has one question to ask Gary, what should they use their one shot in asking?
Um, I, so I think you would first want to watch back a lot of his videos to see if he answers your question, because he does get asked the same question a lot, but he always answers it in a unique way for the person. Um, but like fights like if you're gonna ask him a question first, make sure he hasn't answered it, um, and like find something that like will genuinely benefit you, whether it's as a person or in your career or in whatever like the genre of the question is or topic of the question is, like really put thought into it because he will answer it in a good way. So don't waste it on a silly question or a question that he has answered that you can go back and watch and it'll be the answer you needed. You know that because he's answered a lot of questions. There's a lot of content out there of him answering amazing questions, or answering questions amazingly. Um, And so, try to be unique with it.
I love that. It's so true. I have not, in all my interactions with him, I still haven't asked him a question just because
I
I've
asked him
been so.
one
What
in
did you
my
ask him?
like one-on-one. So it was VCon 2022. Um, after everybody had to leave the stadium, we were on the stage taking team pictures. And after the team pictures, I wanted to get my one picture with Gary. I got one picture with Gary, so I'm good now. But I um I asked him. I told him I was like, I don't even know if I asked him a question, but I was telling him I was like, I've been in talks with Danny. Like he wants me to go full time. I want to go full time with VeeFriends, but my mom is very hesitant. She wants me to stay at school. Blah blah blah. And he kind of just told me to like go with your gut. Like you're very helpful. You're an amazing person. I believe in you, blah blah blah. It was very helpful to just have that reassurance because I think regardless of me asking that, I was probably gonna go full time. Like the offer was kind of on the table, but it wasn't like officially on the table because I was told after VCon. Um, so I was in discussions with like convincing my mom was hard. Now she's fine with it. Um, I take her to pizza every Friday so she can't be upset. No, I'm just kidding. But um, but yeah, so I think now that she's seen that like I've had like it's been good for me so far. Like I think she's good with it. I think she's happy with it. And I told her I was like, if I need to go back to school, like it's fine. Like I can go back to school whenever. You
You can
know?
always go back.
Yeah.
Is there a particular role that you would like to do?
At VeeFriends, I kind of like. I love going to community events. So if there's like a role with that, fuck yeah. But that wouldn't entail much. Like I'd still have to do other stuff. And I also just love the collectibles, and like the card space. So anything around those and the community still, of course, definitely anything that involves those. No role
Amazing.
specifically, but
Amazing. Well, it's no lie. Like there's very few people that have like just are known by one name. Like that's a telltale sign that you've made it and have kind of imprinted yourself. There's Gary, there's Andy, there's D-Rock, there's Corso, May. Like in any ecosystem, some people like Prince and Madonna. It's the whole world, but in our world here, you are stamped as an amazing person and
thank you.
community member, community manager, whatever. Um, so I really appreciate your time. Always great seeing you and jamming. I thank you for being the first round two of this, and I'm realizing that we've gone super long. So I appreciate your time,
It's all good.
and I
Thank you for
am
having me.
I'm super excited to for the next takeover, for the next Access event that we could all jam because VCon 2024 is just too far.
Yeah, we had a good time at that takeover event. That was a good time.
I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. So good. And unfortunately, I'm not gonna make it to the national, but my better
Oh,
half is. So
good. We'll have
uh,
one half of you guys. So
definitely, I know she's excited. So thank you for all that you do, and yeah, we'll talk soon,
yeah,
bud.
thank you for having me.